From aspiring actresses to aging action heroes, from the first script to walking down the red carpet, Sacramento Filmworks is your one-stop shop for all things filmmaking. I'm your host, Klein Moore.
And I'm your co-host, Kenesha Allen. Sit tight and don't move, because up next we got an exciting show for you. Today we delve into the role of a producer.
Excellent. Associate producer, executive producer, you have the line producer, co-producers. What do all of those producers do?
Well, Klein, according to our expert guest today, a film can't live without a producer. So our guest has been giving life to film since he was 15 years old. We'd like to welcome Mr. Carlos Hernandez to the show. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Excellent. We're so glad that you're here. And let's, before we find out, exactly how you got into producing, what are all those different titles? We see the credits roll, but what is the role of a producer?
Yeah, there are different types of producers for a film. Executive producers usually bring the money to the table, or they have a lot of connections, so they make the film possible because of all of their connections.
So they bring the value, right?
They bring,
the money.
yeah, and you're not making a film without any money. Also, producers, break into various categories. There's people that wrangle extremely well. People that are line producers that handle the money, keep track of all the expenditures. You have co-producers that do various roles. Writers, get producer credits or co-producer credits quite often. So everybody has different functions.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, kind of piggybacking off of that, how'd you get your start as a producer?
My start came out of necessity. Me and my friends were making films, and some people shot extremely well, edited, did different things, but getting the film off the ground, nobody really seemed to want to do that. Right. So I was that go-to person. I knew I wanted to do a film, and in order to get it to come to life, I had to wrangle everything.
So did you realize that at an early age, or is that something that just kind of came along with the job?
Well, I realized the need for it,
right,
but I didn't realize I was going to step into that role until I was already doing it.
Okay.
Well, you've served in that role at least more than a few times, so we're going to go to a clip right now and see a couple of things that you've got the opportunity to work on.
Okay.
Not even God will save you.
Murder of a mother of two innocent children.
Where'd we go wrong? Play me on!
How's it feel knowing you're about to die?
The very moment you fear is the very moment you should act.
So this was a film, End of the Law, also known as Fugitive Justice.
Fugitive Hunter.
Fugitive Hunter, thank you. So what was your job here?
Okay, so I was a producer on this film. Basically, the way it came down is a friend of mine, the person who ultimately directed the film, said he knew a couple of guys that wanted to make a film, and they're the main actors in the film. And they had a very short deadline in which to make the film, which was a month out.
Okay.
Which is kind of crazy, because you still have to do all the location scouting, all the auditions, everything else. And I said, well, it's pretty tight. And he said, well, if anybody can do it. I said, all right, I'll take it on. And jumped in there as producer and just started bringing everything together.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, when you and I talked beforehand, you said that there's kind of a 4-tier thing that you do when it comes to producing, right?
Yeah.
Explain that to us.
Yeah, it's a strange dynamic that I have with, and maybe everybody does, maybe every producer, every director has this same thing. There's the initial excitement you know, you're just so gung-ho about making a film, you know,
Sure.
so excited about taking on a project. You know, you read a good script or somebody brings something to you,
Right.
and you want to make that. So there's that phase of it. And then about 3/4 into making the film, there's the, what did I get myself into?
Oh, right.
Why am I
Panic
doing
sets
this?
Why am I here?
Yeah, I'm in over my head, and will I ever see the light of day ever again? But as you work through the post-production phase, then you know it's all coming together. You see that finish line, marathon's just about over, and then 2 weeks after the project's finished, you know, you take a little vacation time, get
Sure.
to sleep in for a while, get to sleep,
Right.
and then you just feel like you have to do it again. Like all the pain and suffering is something in the past, and
You don't
just wanna
remember the
jump.
bad.
Yeah, yeah,
But you still
absolutely.
can see the rush, and you see everyone's reaction. And so what was the reaction for this film?
The reaction was great. We get a lot of local buzz. Lionsgate picked it up. They had picked up a film I did previously, so I already had a working relationship with them. And I brought this film to them, and they said, yeah, we'll take it.
And people see, people see that there are, you know, producer credits on one show. They then ask you to do others, or I mean, how do you get the work?
Yeah, once you know, once your name's out there and people realize you have the skill, especially, you know, the very first film we did went to Sundance, so it was that 1 in a million shot, and it was actually acquisitioned there by Lionsgate. So, you know, that door opens a little bit. People
Right.
get to know, oh, well, I have this script that I'd love for you to pick up, or, you know, I'd love for somebody to make, and they don't know how to go about it themselves.
Right.
You get a producer.
Right. So you kind of got your break at Sundance with getting this thing picked up by Lionsgate, right? So what advice would you give for a local Sacramentan filmmaker, producer, writer, or whatever? What advice would you give them for the folks that can't go to Sundance?
I would say try to get to Sundance anyway. You know, even if
Why
you
not?
don't go there, it doesn't, you know, it costs $50 to upload, you know, your film. Now it's digital, so you just upload it and put it in there, you know. I mean, you have to try. You have to get your film. Otherwise, you're going to spend all this time and money to make an expensive home movie that, you know, you show to your friends or you try to sell out your trunk, you know. So, you know, put it out there, and put it out there where people go to acquisition films. So, you know, you can enter a lot of different film festivals, and I suggest that, you know, build up, you know, best, you know, film at whatever film festival, that type of thing. But if you're looking at being purchased, then you want to go to where people are buying films.
Right. Okay. And as far as viewership and support goes here in Sacramento, how has that played a role in your progress as a producer?
Well, it all started with, you know, kind of a tight-knit community.
Right.
You know, initially, when we made the first film, you know, we had made some short films, and we reached a point where we're like, well, I think we're ready to take on a feature-length project. So that's why we jumped ahead and said, okay. And we sorted through a few different stories, and Blood Guts was the one that ultimately we decided to go with.
Blood, Guts, Bullets, and Octane.
Right.
Yeah, excellent. And, you know, you talked a little bit about the headaches that can come around. Specifically as a producer, what are some of the challenges you deal with on a film set?
A lot of times, what people don't realize is that a lot of times people don't know what a producer does. So, you know, there's that aspect of it, but a lot of the weight, you know, success or failure of a film comes down on that producer. You know, what team did you build? You know, did you handle all, you know, the locations, auditions, all, you know, all the particulars that need to go into that, you know, are arranged by the producer.
Right.
So if the film fails, you know, out in the studios, you know, you have a couple of films that don't do well, and you're done. You know,
That's
they
it.
don't just keep going, okay, we'll just keep throwing money at you with the hopes that you'll come through.
So as you said, then, like, the life and the death of the film depends on the producer.
Right.
So tell us real quick, what are some of the obstacles that you've run into with putting together films and producing? What's some of the things you've run into?
There's been, you need people skills
Okay.
when building your crew, when casting your actors, and fill people out, you know, because everybody says, you know, they want to do this, they want to do that,
Right.
you know, so you really have to find out, you know, what people are about and dealing with different relationships, you know, does the director get along with the actor, and when you're halfway into a film and they're knocking heads because they're having creative differences,
Right.
you know, at that point, then you have to step in, you have to work those things
And you
out.
better work it
because
out.
you have
Good.
to work it out, because
All right.
unless you're going to rewrite that script and that person disappears for some reason, which is just about never
And
an
that's a
option.
whole nother movie
That's
all
a
to
whole
itself.
nother
Well, when we
project.
come back, we're going to find out what his favorite thing is about producing. Thank you, Carlos, and we'll be back with more Sacramento Filmworks in just a moment. Sacramento Filmworks is sponsored by the Northern California Filmmakers Coalition, which provides filmmakers an opportunity to learn and network with professionals in the filmmaking industry in the Sacramento region. Join us each Wednesday at 6 p.m. at Access Sacramento, 4623 T Street, Suite A. We'll see you in the movies. And we're back on Sacramento Filmworks with our guest, Carlos Hernandez, and we're going to go to Kenesha for more.
Thank you, Klein. I'm here in our studio audience, and some of our guests have a few questions for Mr. Hernandez. Our first question comes from Ms. Charmaine.
Hi, this is for Carlos. Carlos, I wanted to know, as a aspiring film producer, once you submit your film to the Sundance Film Festival, what are the likelihood of your film being picked up?
It's actually relatively slim, so we were actually very fortunate. It had just the right timing for Lionsgate to come along and pick it up. Lionsgate was acquisitioning a lot of films. They were pretty young. You know, they weren't as big as they are now. So, but without taking that chance, we would have never done it.
You know, and that just segues into another question, and that is, we talked a lot about the challenges, but what is your favorite thing about producing?
I'd have to say my favorite thing about producing is knowing that when that script comes to me, that it's not going to see the light of day unless I champion it. Right. You know, without taking on that script and bringing together a team, hiring a director and everybody else that falls into place, the actors, getting the locations, all the contracts, everything else, that script will remain a pile of papers on a shelf somewhere.
So you're the wind beneath its wings, right?
Absolutely.
Good.
Carlos is the man. Okay, we got another question from Nathan.
Yes, I was wondering, what's your favorite film you've produced and why?
Okay. My favorite feature is Fugitive Hunter. And the reason being is because outside of a winning team, you know, everybody was in it for the right reason. Stylistically, I think it looks great. It was shot well. It's a good story. I could go on and on, but that's my favorite film so far, Fugitive Hunter.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And our next question comes from this gentleman.
Hi, my name is James. You had mentioned that people skills were a very important skill set. I was wondering, what other skills do you need to bring to be a successful producer?
Okay. Other things is being highly organized, being tenacious. Maybe that comes before being organized. Just being able to follow through, also being able to work independently, because the role of a producer can be an incredibly lonely one. I liken it to building a bandwagon. You're really not going to get anybody to come out and help you build the bandwagon. But once they see the bandwagon and it's in play, everybody wants to come out and partake. So the ability to take that script and invest a lot of time ripping it apart, you know, figuring out what all the elements are, how many shoot days, everything else, doing that, then you can get to the point where, you know, you get some reward out of it. Yeah.
So our next question comes from Anton.
Carlos, I got a question. So, how'd you start? Did you go to school, or is there a potential for like local?
Yeah, I didn't go to a film university. Initially, my love affair with film started with actually photography. I was given a camera, a still camera, when I was 9 years old, and I would not put that thing down until it broke, and ultimately got another camera. And then I had a video camera that I was given for Christmas when I was right around 15 years old, and also heard that Sacramento High School had a film program. So I lived nowhere near Sacramento High School, but I had to get in there. And my dad actually helped me get into that school. So I bussed all the way across town to get to this school so I could be part of their video program. And while I was still in high school, Access Sacramento opened up, and I heard about them. I saw a commercial, you know, that was running about the place, and that it was open to the public and you could get involved there. And I immediately gravitated toward Access Sacramento and started working on their truck shoots. and then just continued. As far as producing, like I said, when projects came along, we wanted to shoot, and we had a few failed attempts at making, short films just because we had no idea, the process or, how difficult it would be, much less working with people that were professional. I mean, it was just great getting our friends together and trying to put a project together, but just continuing to do that. So each little reward, pushed us further toward the next film, learning from our mistakes, and then getting to that point where we actually did complete a project.
Okay. So Carlos, you got your start here at Access Sacramento. Now you also teach a class, right? How does that class tie into producing, and how has that been?
Yeah, I teach the digital camera class at Access Sacramento. And like I said, coming to Access Sacramento, learning how to run the truck, doing camera, editing, all those various things. As a producer, it helps me immensely because I understand the roles. I can talk the language with people. I know what the director is doing and roughly how long it takes. Again, as a producer, I know whether people are on the ball and doing their job adequately. And I can respect, how much time it takes to do the different things that they do. So I strongly suggest if you're going to produce, know, production from beginning to end.
Know the whole gamut,
you
right?
Should. Yeah.
Know what you're talking and know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
So one more question off of that. How rewarding is it to see that all of your years of experience, you're now helping people to develop their protege as a producer or writer or director or whatever it may be?
Yeah, I can't begin to express, how fulfilling it is. Because like I said, I didn't go to a film school. So everything I learned from people that were gracious enough to share their knowledge with me.
Right.
And some people were like, no, why do you want to learn this? You want to take my job?
Right.
I'm not even in a position to do that. But a lot of people did share their information. So I feel like it's not only my privilege, but it's my duty to turn that around and share that with other people because, everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has a project they want to do, something that's close to their heart. And if I can help them, if I could facilitate them reaching that goal, that's really what it's all about.
Well, we really appreciate you sharing your information with us. And for those who want to know more, you can reach Carlos Hernandez on Facebook.
Yeah,
just follow
absolutely.
you there, or you can contact him here at Access Sacramento. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
We'd like to again thank Mr. Carlos Hernandez for coming onto the show. We'd like to thank the viewers at home and the studio audience. And you guys, don't get off the couch. Stay tuned because up next we're going to show you who's shining in our Sacramento spotlight.
If you'd like to be a member of our studio audience, to meet and greet film industry professionals, visit our website at ncfc.tv.
Welcome back to our show. And right now we are highlighting a local talent in our Spotlight segment. Now this guy is fairly new to the acting game, but you wouldn't be able to tell that by the roles he's done because he is just that good. We'd like to welcome Mr. Andreas Rivera to the show. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. So Andreas, you got a pretty interesting story about how you got into acting, right? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Oh, okay. Well, it was about a year and 8 months ago. I actually took my 9-year-old daughter at the time to go meet the actors of CW show Supernatural, they were in San Francisco. So we arrived there, we get inside, and all of a sudden the actors come on stage and all the craziness that broke out. I mean, the people were just screaming, just trying to pull out these actors.
Right.
And I was like, they're just normal people. I could do that too, So, and then actually the next week, after I brought her home, I said, you know what, I'm going to do this. I put my mind to it. I went out my very first audition with no acting experience whatsoever, as far as nothing for a resume. Went and auditioned, and I ended up getting the role that I went out for. So.
And you've been pretty busy too. It's not like you just had that one role and that was it. You've been working.
Oh
right?
yes, I've had several commercials I filmed. I filmed a pilot down in LA. Couple of short films and 3 feature films that should be released this year.
Okay, that's a lot of work for you, just a year and 8 months, I have to say. And then you've also, you were in a movie called The Shop, right?
Yes.
Where you played a dirty cop.
Yes.
Now tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the the role originally, when I went out for it, I went out as an extra for the role, so there was no lines that I memorized. So as soon as I walked in, the casting director said, "Are you ready to read?" And I'm thinking, extras normally on a movie don't say much, but remain quiet. So I was handed the script, and I was like, "Okay, sure, I'll take 10 minutes to read over it," not knowing what I was doing. I said, "Okay, I can do this." Went in there and auditioned. I left the audition. About an hour later, the director of the movie and writer gave me a call and said, "Would you like one of the lead roles as Tommy Hines?" So the dirty cop, as you call him,
the
right?
dirty cop. All right. I told you guys he was just that good. Now we're going to go ahead and take the clip of the trailer. Let's go ahead and run that.
Take the Mercedes and get to Oakland tonight.
How do you want to play this? Tight. We gotta play it tight. Well, we got trouble? Answer me yes or no to the following question. Do you have my diamonds?
Me!
Close the door.
Listen, you better be damn sure you got something.
I'm tired. Lord, I'm tired of what I've become.
So how you make the call, huh? Yeah. You okay with this, D?
I have no choice.
Okay, but damn, son. You know this dude, right?
Talk to the man upstairs about it. He knows my heart.
Now, Sean, I need you to tell me what you know so I can help get your girl back. Alive.
We already got one snake cop after us. What makes you any different?
Are you threatening me?
Come on, give me something.
Why? Give me one good reason.
So you were a tough guy. Tell us a little bit about that scene. You're roughing people up.
Well, being the dirty cop, of course, there's the gentleman that I was throwing against the car and everything else like that. He's my informant out on the streets. So there's a daily check that I do with him to find out if anything is going on the streets, that I can get a little piece of it and get some of the money from it. So he leaks out that day that there's about $20 million of diamonds in circulation. And of course, me being the dirty cop,
you got to get your cut.
I want my cut, of course. You know, diamonds. You know, and that's where that leads on to the whole chase of trying to find out who has the diamonds, and then, of course, me being the dirty cop, I have other cops that are trying to bring me down, but I think I'm above the law. So.
Now, every role that you're playing in or that you have played in is obviously not a dirty cop. What are some of the other things that you're doing?
Some of the other things I'm doing, I co-wrote a movie that we're currently filming. It's called Magical Mrs. Claus, which will be released shortly before Christmas this year. I play a military guy who gets out, retires, and finally, after 30 years, returns back home. Needless to say, there's a little secret in there, but I don't want to leak it out just yet. That I haven't been away from home for 30 years, and finally returning back to West Virginia with my aunt to visit the aunt. And
now, you also actually have a background in the military, right? Yes. So is it, when you take these roles, are you pulling from different parts of your life and kind of applying it to whatever character you're playing? Do you kind of do that? Well,
as an actor, that's what we do. We draw on life experiences, and I do have 10 years of military experience as well as 4 years of law enforcement experience. So it kind of I'm seeing a trend here where I'm getting these military law enforcement roles, because that's kind of one of the things they key on the resume when I send it to them. So, but I do draw back on life experiences to make the character that much better, to bring it more life and more believable.
Right. So in the future, where do you see yourself being with your acting career? Where would you like to be?
Well, I'd like to, acting career, definitely get to develop more and learn more. Last Monday, I was just contacted by SAG, that became SAG eligible. So
congratulations.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you. So that's, as actors, that's our big thing, to become SAG. But I see myself as doing more writing, more directing, and also being in front of the camera as well too. And hopefully 2013 is a good breakout year for me. So.
Okay. Now let's tell everybody real quick how they can keep up with your projects and keep in contact with you.
Well, there's of course through Facebook. I'm on Facebook. Email ariveraactor@yahoo.com. I also have a Twitter account. It's just ariveraactor. And normally on Facebook or my Twitter, I update any new films that I'm doing or any projects that are upcoming. So.
Well, we're going to certainly keep in contact with you and keep following your career. Thank you so much for coming to the show. We wish you all the best of luck, and thank you.
Thank you.
And that's our show for today. Sacramento Filmworks is brought to you by the Northern California Filmmakers Coalition in partnership with Access Sacramento. Thanks again to our guests, our studio audience, and those of you watching at home. I'm Klein Moore.
And I'm Kenesha Allen. You've been watching Sacramento Filmworks, where we show you how film works.